Unfortunately, there is a lot of bad advice to get through, so let's dive right in. For the best advice about moving to Mexico, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I upload new episodes every Monday and Thursday. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you've been here before, welcome back. My name is Alex, and I moved to Mexico from the US in 2017. I've called Querétaro home ever since. In today's video, I'm mixing things up a bit, switching things around, and instead of sharing my top tips, my best advice for moving to Mexico, I'm diving into and examining the worst advice that I've heard for people moving to Mexico. So I'm sharing this bad advice not so you'll follow it. Please, please don't follow it. I'm sharing this bad advice so we can talk through it together and you can make a plan for how to avoid these pitfalls, avoid these mistakes, so you can have a smoother transition, a more successful transition to your new life in Mexico. Number one, living in Mexico is cheap. I hate the word cheap. Not only does it have a very negative connotation, a very ugly connotation, I think that it's incredibly misleading, especially when people are citing living in Mexico is cheap as a reason, as advice for why you should move to Mexico. Because cost of living is all relative. Affordable cost of living, it really depends on the person, the situation, and you've got to do your own research to find out if living in Mexico, if living in a particular city in Mexico would actually be affordable for you. Querétaro, the city that I call home, the city that I have called home for the past 4 years here in Mexico, is a great example of this. Now, while Querétaro is more affordable than other cities that I have called home, it is one of the more expensive, if not one of the most expensive, cities to live in Mexico. So if you are moving to Mexico in search of affordable cost of living, you need to first make a spreadsheet, do your calculations, and figure out what affordable cost of living means to you. Number two, only be friends with locals. If you wanted to be friends with people from the US or people from your home country, why didn't you just stay in your home country? When you are starting your social life from square one, when you are on your own, or if you're with a partner and it's just the two of you, when you are starting out in a new country, don't turn your back on any type of friend. Take them anywhere that you can get them. And I've got to say, over the years that I have been living abroad, been living in other countries, some of the deepest bonds, the deepest friendships that I have formed are with other foreigners who also have that sense of adventure, that desire to live in a different culture, to see how different people live, to travel, to get to know the world. And it's because we share those qualities that we've been able to form such deep friendships. And I'm really grateful for my friends that are Mexican. I'm really grateful for my friends that are also foreigners living in Mexico like me. If you want a rich, deep, meaningful social life in Mexico, or if you just want to have a lot of different people that you can go out and do fun stuff with, it all starts with opening your heart and taking friends wherever you can get them. Number three, you'll pick up Spanish when you're there. I hear from so many people that they are holding off on starting their language learning journey, waiting to start learning Spanish until they're actually here in Mexico. Because so many people are adhering to this advice that once they're surrounded by it, they'll be able to pick it up much easier. You don't need to wait until you're here in Mexico to start building your base. In fact, regardless of how far out your move to Mexico is, whether it's something that you're going to be doing next year or 5 years from now or sometime way off in the future, please, you should start your language learning journey. Start learning Spanish today. Thanks to the internet, thanks to online language schools like Lingoda, my absolute favorite platform for learning a language regardless of where you are in the world, you don't need to wait. You can start learning online today. Lingoda offers a flexible learning schedules so you can make your Spanish classes fit with whatever you've got going on. There are small group classes, all of them held via Zoom, so you are interacting with other language learners, and that really helps to keep you motivated. Plus, you're learning from native speakers. Not only are you going to get a chance to talk to native teachers from Mexico, but also from a variety of other countries in the Spanish-speaking world. So you're going to start tuning in to those different accents, and all of that is really going to help you to learn Spanish even faster and in a more well-rounded way. In the past, here on my channel, I've talked about the Lingoda Sprint Challenge, which is 2 months of intensive language learning. But if that sounds a little bit too much for you, you're still on the fence about Lingoda, why not get your feet wet first with a 7-day trial where you can try 3 group classes totally for free. Check out the course material, get to know some teachers, familiarize yourself with the platform, and if you decide that Lingoda is the right fit for you, I really think you will. I really think you're gonna love Lingoda. If you decide it's a good fit for you and your learning style, then you can keep going with even more classes and you'll get a 30% discount on your enrollment. Head to the link in the description to learn more. Number 4, hire an immigration lawyer. Trust me, I completely get it. Visas, residency permits, INM, consulates, it can all sound very confusing, very overwhelming. And there are a lot of people who will tell you, hey, ditch the overwhelm, ditch the confusion, get yourself an immigration lawyer to help you through the process. But I'm here to tell you no, you do not need an immigration lawyer. And if you do decide to go with a lawyer, you are gonna be spending a lot more. And if it's just a regular run-of-the-mill lawyer, abogado, then you might not even be getting someone who knows the process. Just because you know law doesn't mean that you know the steps that it takes to get your residency in Mexico. Instead of a lawyer, instead of someone who will cost a lot of money and may not even necessarily have the expertise, I recommend going with an immigration advisor. Here in Querétaro, I always recommend Ivonne Pavaan from Relocation. Now, there are people like Ivonne working all over the country. People who, while they're not necessarily lawyers, they have years and years. Ivonne herself has 15+ years of experience helping foreigners navigate the residency process. For the most part, Mexico has a very straightforward residency process. Most applicants, either you meet the financial requirements or you don't. There are very few immigration situations that are so complex that they warrant a lawyer. So I really recommend, if you want someone to help you through the immigration process, go with somebody who is an advisor like Ivonne and leave the lawyers out of it. Number 5, worry about health insurance once you're settled. This goes back a bit to the first point that I made in the video, that living in Mexico is cheap. A lot of people will also tell you that healthcare in Mexico is cheap. And while in comparison to other countries, especially the US, where healthcare is wild, healthcare in Mexico can be very affordable, especially, doctor's visits, prescription drugs, that kind of thing. But if you were to have a heart attack in Mexico, if you were to receive a major serious diagnosis, then it could still cost you tens of thousands of dollars. For the Move to Mexico membership, I sat down and had a chat with some experts from Guardian Health Insurance, a company that specializes in foreigner and expat health insurance. And we talked a little bit about healthcare in Mexico and health insurance in Mexico, what you can expect when you are moving to Mexico, and how early is too early to buy your health insurance for Mexico.
We have many clients that have purchased health insurance while they're still in the US and they're not moving down here for another year or 2 years. But they say, well, I'm 50 years old, I'm 40 something years old, I'm 60 something years old. So far I'm healthy. or so far I'm only dealing with this or that condition, not big deal, but I want to avoid any additional problems in the future. So I'm going to purchase my health insurance policy now, even though I won't be in Mexico. But in case I do develop high blood pressure, I'm diagnosed with cancer, or I have an accident and I need a hip replacement or a knee surgery, none of those things will be considered pre-existing conditions anymore because I already have a policy, even though I don't use it. And some people don't see the benefit of that because they wonder why they should pay for a policy that they won't even use because they haven't moved down here yet. But again, the numbers of those premiums are very low versus the benefit they offer, you know?
Number 6, you won't be able to find that in Mexico. It is possible, okay? It is possible to move your stuff to Mexico, to move boxes and boxes and crates of your personal belongings to Mexico. But it is very, very expensive. In fact, I had one subscriber tell me that it was more expensive to move a pallet of crates, a pallet of boxes to Mexico than it was to move them to Europe, okay? More expensive to Mexico than it was to Europe. Despite it being so costly to move things, to ship things from the US to Mexico, perhaps you are still considering doing so because you're worried that you're not going to be able to find what you need in Mexico. But I'm here to tell you that the vast majority of brands that you have gotten used to seeing in the US, you can find them here in Mexico too. Yes, we have Instant Pot. I have met some people who have moved to Mexico with a 6 months supply of their favorite supplements, their favorite vitamins, because they were so worried that they wouldn't be able to find them in Mexico. But you can, if you're worried about finding your vitamins, finding your supplements in Mexico, I recommend checking out a website called iHerb. You can get all of them shipped to Mexico and at reasonable prices. When I first moved to Mexico, I made the mistake of thinking that there weren't certain products or certain services that I was used to in the US. I was thinking that they weren't available here in Mexico, but the truth of it was that I didn't have the knowledge of the city and I didn't have the language skills to find those products, to find those services here in Querétaro. But now, 4 years later, I can tell you that there's absolutely everything that I could ever want, ever need here in Querétaro. You just have to know where to look. You just have to know how to ask for it. That is another good reason to get started learning Spanish now, to not wait, don't put it off. Go for the free trial with Lingoda. Check out those 3 free trial classes and get started today so you can really hit the ground running once you're here in Mexico. And you don't have to spend that period of time like I did thinking that they don't sell your favorite mascara from Benefit, when the truth is you can find it at the mall right down the road. Number 7, homesickness is a bad sign. I wish that I could tell you that you are going to move to Mexico and every single day from the time you arrive, you are just gonna be in love with your life here, that it's all gonna be rainbows and butterflies and tacos and micheladas, but it's not. Because you are moving to another country, and life in that other country, life here in Mexico, is going to be different. And sometimes different is hard. Different is an adjustment. You've got to get used to how things are here. When things are different, when things are hard, it is only natural to miss the familiar, to miss your home country, to be homesick. So I want you to know that homesickness, it is a natural part of the process. It is natural to miss your friends. It's natural to miss your family, to miss speaking English, to miss Target. You are going to miss things about life in your home country, and that doesn't mean that you're failing. That doesn't mean that you're not fitting in. That doesn't mean that you will never feel at home here in Mexico, because that's just not the case. Even now, now, even 4 years later. I've called Querétaro home for 4 years now, and there are days that I still miss Michigan, that I still just, you just want to be able to dial up, you know, the pizza place and order a pizza in English. It's natural. It's part of the process, and don't feel like a failure just because you miss home. If you have any questions about anything that I talked about, anything I shared in this video, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And on the end screen in a few seconds here, I'm going to share a playlist of my best advice for moving to Mexico. So if you liked my take on the worst advice, then click on that playlist for my best advice. I'm Alex from backpackingbrunette.com. Thanks for watching.